Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 57 of the Cleveland Spiders franchise here on MLB The Show 21. Currently, our Cleveland Spiders off to a phenomenal start sitting at 13-3. Yes, we got some bad news last episode with Shane Bieber going out for the season, but they're playing good baseball here and they've reached the day off, so I thought this would be a great time to get our first scouting update of the season, see it and take a look at some of the blue chip prospects in the upcoming 2022 MLB Draft. We'll be taking a look at some of their game film and highlighting 5 blue chip prospects today. So if you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. And the first game we're going to take a look at is the UCLA Bruins playing host to the California Golden Bears out on the West Coast. And the first player we're going to look at is Larry Pringle, a left-handed starting pitching prospect, 19 years old from UCLA via Boise, Idaho, with an ETA of 2025. And Larry Pringle, I'm glad we're starting off with him because he probably has the most intriguing draft story, draft stock of the class. Now, Larry Pringle is a sophomore, and he had a phenomenal freshman year, had an All-American. Part of the reason why the UCLA Bruins made it to the College World Series before they lost to Florida in the finals. But Larry Pringle had a great freshman year. His sophomore campaign has been the exact opposite. It's almost actually been non-existent. Now, the part of that is because Larry Pringle had shoulder injury. He had a shoulder injury. His fastball was clocking about 92, 93 prior to this surgery, maybe even 94 sometimes. But as you can see in this game, the very first game of the season for Pringle, actually game 2, his fastball's not hitting that same clip. Here it is at 86 miles an hour. So there was a lot of concern with Pringle's shoulder, and he actually shut him down for the season. He actually said, you know what, I'm done. I've played 2 games, and he declared for the draft. He decided to focus on the upcoming draft, and that has labeled him a very boom or bust prospect. What kind of Larry Pringle are you going to get? Are you going to get the Larry Pringle that made an All-American as a freshman and helped get this team to the College World Series? Or are you going to get the Larry Pringle that had to get surgery? Now, the pros to his game, he had elite VO prior to the surgery, and he limits the long balls and walks well. However, there is that injury concern. He does need to work on his control a little bit, and he won't really strike many batters out, as you can see. But Larry Pringle is very boom or bust. He probably will be taken somewhere in the first round just because of that potential. Now we're going to stay with UCLA real quickly and take a look at his college roommate in Mackenzie Lopez, their closing pitcher this season, a right-handed pitcher via Billings, Montana, who also committed to UCLA. He has a 2024 ETA, so that's 2 years from now. Teams and players and scouts expect to see Mackenzie Lopez in the majors. Now, he won the Stopper of the Year award this year as well, which went to the best relief pitcher, and that's because he is dominant across the board. If you take a look at his scouting profile, he doesn't really have any weaknesses. He is very good at control, very good at velo, has a phenomenal break on his pitches as well. Mackenzie Lopez as a closing pitcher is the real deal. Whoever drafts Mackenzie Lopez is going to get probably a star of the future. And where he gets drafted, I don't know, because that also plays to his weakness. There's not many closing pitchers who go #1 in the draft, but maybe Mackenzie Lopez can break that mold. Here's a look at his scouting card. You can see no weaknesses across the board. Everything's in the 70s, 80s. Already, the only thing lower than 50 right now is his accuracy on his arm and his stamina. So 2 things you're not really worried about a pitcher. Mackenzie Lopez could be the best prospect in this draft. We're going to go across the way in Los Angeles to the USC Trojans at Ditto Stadium. Remember, this is very immersive. I'm using also real-life college stadiums. USC Trojans begin their season against the Arizona Wildcats in the Pac-12. And the player I want to look at here is Omar Fernandez, a first base prospect via San Diego, California, who decided to come up north a little bit to sunny LA. And at 22 years old, a right-handed batter, ETA 2026. Omar Fernandez is probably my favorite hitter in this class. I think he has the best bat out of any of the blue chip prospects, at least domestically in the United States. Very solid bats, good contact, good power. He puts on display here as in his first game of the season. He goes yard other way to right center. That's very hard to do. And Omar Fernandez is flashing that here. Some of his weaknesses, though, he does need to work on his vision and discipline some. He can get very wild with the bat. I think he knows he's a pretty solid hitter. And so sometimes he will chase those breaking pitches in the dirt. He'll chase those high fastballs. He'll chase those pitches that don't really come close to the zone. And that leads to a lot of strikeouts. Fernandez area of concern. He did strike out quite a few times this season. And I think also his future as a DH. Now, his defense is not very good. And the other thing is his weakness is he's already 22 years old and his ETA is 2026 plus. So by the time Fernandez does reach the majors, he'll probably be in his mid to late 20s, and that could scare some scouts from drafting Fernandez high. Fourth player we'll take a look at today. We're actually going to stay in this series between the Wildcats and the Trojans because I actually want to take a look at an Arizona player, and that's catcher Marshall Warren. Out of Boston, Massachusetts, decided to come to Arizona to play ball. He is a catcher prospect, 21 years old, of an ETA of 2026. And overall, I kind of like Marshall Warren. He's probably not my favorite blue chip prospect. He did win the Buster Posey Award this year, which goes to the best catcher in all of the NCAA. And he's a very solid defensive player. That's really what I can say about Warren. He's got very good defensive skills. He will block the baseball. He's going to gun out a lot of batters. But that also what scares me a lot of Marshall Warren because, at least for us, we already have two defensive specialists on our roster. We have Roberto Perez. We have Austin Hedges. And we see how that's working out for us. Don't get a lot of base runners to steal bases against us. But both of our catchers right now are hitting like sub 210, which is just a hole in the lineup to say the least. But if you want a defensive specialist, I think Marshall Warren is perfect for you. And, you know, catcher prospects are kind of hard to come by nowadays, so I think Brandon Warren will go very high. I think he will go top 10. But as you can see, his bat, I don't know if it'll ever get there. His bat will be very suspect. His career, you just want his defensive ability if you draft Marshall Warren. Now, the last player we'll take a look at today is out in Missouri via Horsham, Pennsylvania, playing for the Missouri Tigers. As you can see here in a game against the TCU Horned Frogs, and it's left fielder Ray Carney. 21 years old, ETA of 2026, a right-handed bat. And the most intriguing thing about Ray Carney is he's 6'5". He is a very lean 6'5", though, sub 200 pounds. So maybe needs to put a little bit of weight on that frame in order to realize his potential. Because, you know, at 6'5", he could be a dominant power hitter. But unfortunately doesn't really have that right now. His pros, or is he a jack of all trades? His cons, he's a master of none. So that's kind of how I would describe Ray Carney. He is very consistent across the board, but don't know how high his ceiling is. Some scouts think he has reached his ceiling in college already, and he's not going to get much better as a player, while some scouts are just looking at that 6'5" frame and just thinking what could be with Ray Carney. Take a look at his card in just a second. As you can see, everything is pretty flat across the board. Now, everything's averaging to above average, but you're not going to get anything that stands out with Ray Carney. And I think that's the best thing to say about him. So that's going to be a look at the blue chip prospects we're going to take a look at today. Let me know which one you guys thought was the most intriguing prospect and which one do you think you would stay away from. Next episode, we'll rejoin the Spiders and end up the month of April with a series against the Brewers, followed by a series against the Tigers. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.